MIL said family comes first and tried to push my friends out of my own Wedding.So. We gave her full control and watched it all falling apart. Plus update. I am getting married in October 2025. My fiancé, Mark 33M and I 28F, are planning and paying for everything ourselves with a modest 80-person wedding. He is the only child on his side, but his mother has 6 brothers and sisters and is the eldest of the 7. His mother Susan 63F, and I usually have a great relationship. We never had any major arguments, and even with the occasional disagreement, we were always able to talk it out like adults. We even went shopping together to find her dress for the wedding. My Mill is Latina and can be dramatic. She has some drama with her siblings from way before I met Mark that has never really been a concern before. The 3 big things I know of. Her brother Henry and sister Carol don't speak because her sister exchanged some words with her brother's wife 15 years ago. She has since tried to apologize but hasn't really been forgiven. B. One of her sisters, Marcy, cheated on her husband and Susan called her out for it, so Marcy and her kids no longer speak to her. C. Her youngest brother Jose abandoned their mother on her deathbed. He was supposed to watch her but left his mother alone to be with his wife. I don't know why. And she suffered a stroke alone. She passed away from this and the entire family has cut him off. Anyways, this all happened years ago before I even knew Mark. Mark has a relationship with all his cousins, including his cousins from Jose. When we started to compile the guest list for the wedding, Susan and Mark had some disagreements over who to invite. She did not want him to invite Marcy or Jose, nor their kids. We ended up inviting everyone except Jose's family. His kids actually reached out to us and gave us that option because they knew how Susan would be and took a step back themselves. She was okay with us inviting Marcy because Mark is actually very close with his cousin, and Marcy's son is Mark's groomsman. I think I was very accommodating through the entire process. Of 80 guests, 30 are his family, and I only have 30 guests in total including my family. I felt bad he could only invite 10 friends. If we split guests, 50 to 50, so I ended up giving him more spots and cutting my list work friends, spouses, etc. We finalized the tables last week and had tables of 10. We sat people with direct family members first, e.g. Henry and his wife are sitting with their son and their grandkids. Mill is now demanding we move everyone around because she doesn't want to sit anywhere near Marcy. They are not at the same table. Marcy is 2 tables away. Yet Susan is demanding we move Marcy and her kids over to the last table and seat all the adults, aka her siblings, together. I said no to this. This would be very disrespectful of Marcy, and she would be away from the rest of the family. Then I mentioned how is she okay putting Carol and Henry at the same table. Then she started to move everything around and placed Carol and her husband with my fiancé's friends, because she needed to prioritize Henry, who is her twin. I started to get way too overwhelmed and raised my voice. I told her that they are grown-ups and can sit through a 1-hour dinner service like adults without sitting next to who you want to. I wasn't about to mix family members up with friends and create awkward environments unnecessarily. Then she went to say family comes first. Your friends are not as important. I began to see red at this point as I had already sacrificed my side of the guest list to accommodate her family. I then told her I don't care what BS drama you have from 15 years ago. You can suck it up and eat for 1 hour, then party and socialize with whoever you want after. You are not confined to your seat. You need to grow up and let it go because it is your son's wedding, not yours. I feel like an because Susan never had a wedding of her own and she was really excited for this, which I understand. I also feel like I was in the right telling her off. Mark is fully backing me up on this, but update. So the stuff from my original post happened last Sunday. My fiance was at work when it had happened and Susan wanted some company while her husband was visiting his brother in another country, so I went and did some wedding planning there. We live on the next street over, so it's an easy 5-minute walk. While I was reviewing contracts, rental lists, etc., she asked who she was sitting with at the wedding, which is how this all came about. I left shortly after the altercation in my original post, and left it at I will tell Mark to come over after work and you guys can work it out. When Mark came home I told him everything. We have no secrets and he has seen my rock bottom, so I tell him everything, even when I am in the wrong. He got so upset at the fact his mom is trying to give opinions where it isn't welcomed. He went over and talked for a few hours with Susan without me. I didn't want her to feel like we are ganging up against her. She tried to defend herself, of course, The usual "oh, you don't understand our generation. I want to catch up with my siblings, it's been too long. They meet every month," to Max. And Mark didn't have it. Even though he explained why the seats were arranged that way, she thought we were just being stubborn. Mark couldn't get the message across and ended up leaving with not much success. Yesterday, Monday, my Phil came back home and came over in the evening to talk. I guess Susan told him everything but from her perspective, with no backstory, of course. Mark and I told him everything, explaining the logic and time it took for us to finalize this, and that we were not budging. He was much more understanding, and actually agreed that the seating arrangement makes the most sense. He then asked to humor her Susan, and give her my table arrangements to play with the way she wanted to, without adding any additional tables. I had laundry clips with names attached to cardboard cutouts to arrange my seating when I had planned it, so we agreed to let her do this. Susan came over, and when we told her, if you can figure out a seating arrangement where our friends are not mixed with your family, and we don't need to pay for an extra table, go for it. She beamed and started to play around with my laundry clips, like a 5-year-old with a Lego set. After seating her own family the way she wanted, her face started to become puzzled, confused at how she would figure out the rest of the guests, my friends and family. It actually became so late for dinner that we decided to go out for a bite to eat, and Susan opted to stay and try to figure this out like an impossible math equation. We went out to eat and grabbed a burger for her on the way back, and an hour later, she was still stuck. This is when she gave in and acknowledged that our original plan made the most sense and agreed to drop the topic. We laughed it off and I joked I should have let her do this from the beginning. She had her burger and that's that. Sorry if the update is not as dramatic and crazy as some might have hoped. Susan is stubborn, but she is the kind of person to acknowledge defeat when she knows it. I appreciate my future hubby for being so supportive and strong for me. Makes me even more sure I am marrying the right person.